Continuing with the Star Trek film reviews, I watched from 1996, this was on Hulu, Star Trek First Contact. This is one that I think most people regard as the best of the Next Generation's films and one of the best Star Trek movies. And this was a pretty good hit for him in the day. Yeah, it's not like today's box office, but this is a bit of an adventure-sided Star Trek, a little action movie, and you know what? It brings in quite a bit of stuff from the Next Generation that I think people are going to be okay with. So I want to address something real quick here. There was a costume change in Generations that I forgot to touch upon, where they basically adopted the costumes from Deep Space Nine. I forgot to mention this, but now you have another costume change. The undershirt color, gold, red, blue, what have you, has been, actually the shoulder that was gold, blue, red, whatever, has now been put in the shirt, the undershirt, and that gray undershirt has become the shoulders. And you'll see this in Insurrection, Nemesis, probably not getting to Nemesis as it's not on streaming. So anyways, movie starts out, we see inside the view eye of Picard, we're playing Jerry Goldsmith music this time, and we're panning out, we got this like deep shot, and we see that he's hooked up to the Borg, and we're just like kind of like dollying back, and it looks really cool, and then we find out it's a dream, and he's having kind of flashbacks of his time as Locutus, a Borg. When on the show, he was captured by the Borg and made one of them. Well, he fully recovered, but he says there's some side effects. It's like you can hear them at times when they're close, whatever. Not that big a deal, but I would say recovered, if not aided slightly. Well, the Borg has been advancing. They're making an attack against Earth. And in doing so, the Federation says, hey, Enterprise, this is the new Enterprise-E, which the Enterprise-D, frankly, is the best looking of all Star Trek ships, by leaps and bounds. It kind of sucks that ship had to get destroyed and replaced by this, battleship looking thing. It's got this battleship gray, utilitarian look in places. Oh, I thought this was supposed to be peace and science exploration. Let's have our battleship. Because, that's kind of what it looks like to me. I see people. Anyways, the crew's there, but they're like, hey, we gotta go to this quadrant, scan, parse some crap, neutrinos, I don't remember what they said. Anyways, they got sick of doing that. The Borg are headed straight to Earth. They're losing ships in the area. And Data's like, well, sir, to hell with our orders. And he has deactivated his emotions chip. Also, you're going to notice Geordi looks a little different. He has eyes. Only they're mechanical. He has some kind of electronic implant. Maybe in the iris or cornea or something. So that sort of stuff's going down, and Picard orders the ship to go to Earth, where they're fighting a Borg cube. And I think that you can see that there are genuine models used here in these effects. This came out the same year as Independence Day, where by and large they're still going with models with stuff. And as we'll see in the next movie, that was a good choice, because when it comes to 90 CG, you would frankly prefer to have the models used rather than go with all CGI space action and have it come across looking almost like a video game cutscene or Babylon 5. So, yeah, there's stuff going on, and it's not Star Wars, but it's Star Trek battle. The Defiant, a ship from Deep Space Nine, which I guess is under the command of Worf, who I know he joined Deep Space Nine when Next Generation ended, but I never really watched much more than the first few episodes of the first series of these days. Now, I'll probably get around to streaming it at some point. But anyways, he's aboard the Defiant. This ship was designed to fight the Borg. It's getting lit up. So, they're about to crash. He's going to ram into the thing. And I'm thinking, that little ship? Whatever, kid. So, as they're going to do this, Picard beams their crew in, saves them, tells everybody where to hit the Borg cube. I don't know why he couldn't have relayed this information to them sooner. Maybe it's specific to this situation, but they take out the cube, and out comes this ball. And they follow the ball, and as it's approaching Earth, some force appears in front of it, and it starts to time travel, and the Enterprise tries to intercept it. They're in chase, and they're like, hey, Earth is populated all by Borg. I'm thinking, when did this happen? Oh, they're going back in the past to repopulate the planet, take it over? How? Like, if they'd already done this and you're in their timeline, you wouldn't have known. The Federation wouldn't really be a thing. So are they going back in different timelines as they're going back? Well, eventually they end up at a period in our future after the Third World War, where governments have fallen. And you know what I'm thinking? For something like Star Trek to work, where we have so much peace, we probably need a Third World War to wipe the slate clean and have people start coming together across continents. That would probably be something necessary in order to have the amount of order that they have in the Star Trek, right? The lack of currency, everybody can do what they want if they rise up through the ranks, pay their dues, instead of just being installed into the system. Anyways, there's this guy, Zefram Cochrane, and his, I don't know, navigator or something, Lily. Zefram Cochrane, he's the tall guy from the movie Babe. I forgot his name. He's 6'7". He's a tall dude. Lily, oh man, Alfred Woodward, I think her name. You know what? She's like in her mid-40s here. I think she's pretty cute. I think she's a little underrated. I think she does decent work with this role here. And everything else I've seen her do, like she'll give you a quality performance. Anyways, they're under fire from the Borg, and the Enterprise sets some torpedoes on the Borg sphere, blow it up, and they're like, okay, all's good. Where are we? Oh, we're at this place, at this date. What? That's an important date. It's like tomorrow is when Zefram Cochrane does his big, or what, tomorrow or a few days or some shit, is when he does his big test that's gonna get the attention of the Vulcans by showing that Earthlings have warp capability, and it's going to usher in a new era of peace and everything for humanity. It's the most important event in the history of civilization, and the Borg are here to screw it up. Anyways, crew beams down, meets up with Zefram Cochrane, get fired upon by Lily. She takes some, well, they have this nuclear missile silo where they're going to launch this rocket, and she takes some radiation poisoning, goes to the Enterprise-E, is being looked over by Dr. Crusher, and anyways, the rest of the ship is kind of down there helping them get things in order, but they're kind of spilling the beans. They're like, yeah, you're basically the most important guy ever. It's super important, and the guy's like, but I didn't want this responsibility, I just wanted to retire. You know, these are normal, logical things for characters to be mentioning here. I felt like that's a decent little subplot. Anyhow, aboard the Enterprise, the Borg beamed in. At some point, the Enterprise had shields down. The Borg beam in and start taking out a few crew members. They kind of confine their operation to a certain deck area. They're going into sickbay. Crusher, some others try to escape. Enlist the help of the Doctor from Voyager. I thought that was a nice little bit there because, you're watching this. I'd watched Voyager some back in the day, so you recognize the Doctor, Robert Picardo. You're like, oh hey, he's a hologram, but he's going to stall him. Doesn't really do much of a stalling, but maybe he does. Maybe it's off camera. Anyways, Crusher and Lily get away. Picard's leading people to go shoot up the Borg. Now, we know how powerful the phasers are. So do you really need a phaser rifle? I mean, could it be any more powerful? Or does it just look cool for a movie? Instead of this, you got this. Maybe that's it. Gotta look cool and actiony. So yeah, it's a real dark set. This is actually directed by Jonathan Frakes. I think this is his first directing gig, aside from some episodes here and there. And this is probably his best movie. I don't think I've seen all of them, but you're like, wow, this looks like a movie. You're not going to confuse this with Next Generation episode. But, they're going around the ship, shooting Borg when they have to. The Borg are getting in tune with their phaser frequencies, and so they're canceling them out. So you kind of have this cyborg zombie thing going. And at this point, like Lily, while escaping, she takes a different turn, comes across Picard, draws a phaser on him, whatever, and he's explaining this stuff. Hey, we're from deep in the future. These things after you, they're called the Borg. She's like, Borg, that sounds Swedish. I saw this on VHS like 20 years ago. And that's only now dawning on me. And yeah, I'd seen the Borg before. Only just now dawning on me while watching this, that Borg is kind of like the droid version of cyborg. Droid, android, Borg, cyborg. Why am I just now figuring this shit out? Because I'm thinking about bigger stuff. That's the explanation I'm giving you guys. So anyhow, Lily is having a talk with Picard. He's telling her how in the future that he's from, there isn't currency. Your buddy Zephyrin Cochrane's his experiment's super important. We gotta make sure this works. The Borg are after us. All this stuff. They jump into a holodeck to try to confuse the Borg. They go to a noir detective type story that Picard, I guess, was going through. And he's like, oh, I'm in the wrong chapter. Let's go to the dancing. But you know what? They didn't. Whenever they go to the holodeck, they always put clothes on before they went in. And here, maybe they just kind of glossed over that. But there was no prep time to get this dress on and the suit and all this. I'm telling you that. No prep time. They're dancing and the Borg show up. They get greeted by this maitre d' sort. And it's actually the guy who plays Neelix over on Voyager, who I saw in Critters, and thought, hey, a guy looked familiar, right? Even without the makeup, it seemed a little familiar. Well, he's kind of stalling the Borg. He's a hologram. They figure out he's a hologram, but with the safety precautions off, Picard is able to get a Tommy gun out and start shooting the place up on these guys. And he's got the ire, the vengeance, right? Much more emotional Picard in the films than the kind of distant, logical Picard, the peacekeeper, the by-the-book guy that we found in the series. This guy, there's not a lot of quoting of protocol here. I don't know if you guys feel like that betrays the character or not, but in this case I feel like it's kind of justified for his relation with the Borg and that sort of stuff. And even if you hadn't seen the show, the little mini montage they give you at the beginning gets you in line with how this is all going. At one point, Data gets kidnapped by the Borg, and the Borg queen tries to seduce him, starts taking off his synthetic-like skin and gives him real skin with sensations in it. And so she's got like her little mate, I guess. You're kind of thinking, you know, with the concept of the Borg, it doesn't seem right for there to be a leader. And so, having a Borg queen isn't really the greatest idea. But as a villain goes, at least it's a unique villain for the next generation to use. Rather than doing the Abrams thing and finding ways to bring back old villains that have nothing to do with your whole situation. So, I kind of approve of the Borg Queen. I think the design's decent. The Borg do look quite a bit different here. It's not just a simple makeup job. Well, eventually Picard gets together with everybody, has a talk about how he wants to destroy the Borg, and he has to save the ship. Ship's brand new, or damn close to it. Thank goodness there wasn't some kind of comical, oh, look at all the things that are wrong with this Enterprise, like there was with Enterprise-E. Well, anyhow, he has this big talk with Lily, the Moby Dick thing going here. You're after your white whale, but look what's going to happen to everybody else. She talks him into just blowing up the ship and taking him down like that. You know, you can't have your cake and eat it too sort of idea. She talks him into this. He's like, okay, fine. Oh, but you know what? There's somebody on this left. Was it a computer said that data was censored or something? Or that he was picked up in the sensors? There is some kind of reason he's like, oh, hey, we got to get data. Like, why didn't he just assume data had become Borg or something? So he goes in there. I don't think he has any weapons, because like if you're without arms, the Borg will kind of ignore you for a time. It's kind of a weird thing. How'd they take over Earth if maybe most of it was wiped out? Maybe people were farmers or something, or even in the future. I mean, it seems like there might be less phasers on the planet for some reason, right? A safer society. Well, anyways, he's walking around, meets up with the Borg Queen. He says, oh, hey, there's data. What have you done to him? Trying to give him something you could never give him, kind of stuff like this. He's got half his face, skin graft. He's got a skin graft arm. Oh, I'll tell you what. You take me and I'll be Locutus. You let Data go. And she's like, oh, I'm not interested. We had this chat anyways, but, you know, Data's with me. Zephyr Cochrane's launching into space. He's like, oh shit, we forgot something. We can't do it without this. What do we got? Has like some kind of future mini disc. Starts playing Steppenwolf's Magic Carpet Ride. And I tell you what, I saw some of this on TV maybe 10 years ago. And it was not Steppenwolf playing Magic Carpet Ride. It was like another band on TV. Like maybe there's some kind of music rights issue. But in the version, because I was like, okay, I want to see this out here. Music on Hulu, definitely Steppenwolf. Maybe it was a live recording. I don't know. But it was at least similar enough. It wasn't like I'd heard on TV. So, anyways, their ship goes out of space. It's going to get targeted. Data's like, okay, I'm going to blow the thing up. Firing torpedoes. Fires. Purposely misses. Hits some Borg around. He's actually stronger than the Borg. Much more agile. A better design. Frees Picard. Hits some poisonous gas stuff that emits sort of a CGI gas everywhere. Which, look, I can tell it's CGI. Maybe you can too. But it doesn't look any worse than the dust, the sand that was kicked up in the air in Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. In some way, having CGI gas makes this not look like an episode of Star Trek Next Generation. Because you know they wouldn't, right? I'm not saying it's better or worse. I'm saying this helps you have a TV show movie that doesn't look like an episode, okay? Just, if you're a future filmmaker, take this information in. So they're having this fight and it's melting skin. The Borg have actual skin, so it's doing a number on them. Whereas Picard has to climb up. Data's going to be all right. Borg Queen tries to pull Picard down into the gas. Data pulls her off, tackles her. And so, as the dust settles, Data's going to be okay. Picard's all right. The Queen's messed up pretty good. Looks a bit like the TX from Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines. You can't just call that Terminator, good God. So like, the Borg seem to be gone, I think. Were there Borg instances after this in the series? Like in Deep Space Nine? Yeah, I'm really not sure. But they got warp drive over there. Geordi and Riker went with Zefram Coffer on his thing. They warp drive, head back to Earth. Vulcans appear. The Vulcans had a probe that was in the area at just the right time when they're doing their warp test and notice, hey, let's change course, go hang out with these guys, see what they're all about. Guy comes down, everybody's in awe, takes the hood off, he has Vulcan ears, and everybody's like, yeah, if we're gonna be visited by aliens, this is a good first set of aliens right here. Live long and prosper. Zefram Cochrane can't really do the hand thing, reaches out, gives a handshake, introduces them to beer and alcohol, what have you. And everything's going fine. And the crew, which was given they got on the lifeboats and had to head to Earth. Yeah, there was a shootout in space and other stuff. Actually, that shootout in space, that was much earlier. They were on the dish, the saucer section, I think, or the underside or something. Yeah, I think the underside of the ship. And they had a shootout over there, and the weird thing for that is that there's this guy, played by Neil McDonough. This must have been one of his earlier roles. And he's like Lieutenant Hawk, as they call him. He gets attacked by the Borg. He's the red shirt here, right? Because it's Picard, Worf, and the red shirt. He gets attacked and comes back and he's Borged. I'm wondering how they pull this off. He's in space. He would have died before any kind of transfer of Borg powers. I kind of thought you needed to be hooked up in some way. I didn't know you could just inject somebody and make them instant Borg with the pipes coming out, like the tubes. I didn't know that was how that worked. I'm assuming it kind of didn't. And they make no big deal about how they're going to get back to the future. They just simply leave. End of movie. No ordeal there, huh? Is time travel that commonplace in TNG? I didn't think it was. You could say, hey, Q, hook us up. Hey, Riker, call upon Q, tell him you want your powers for a moment. Maybe they do that. As science goes, I kind of... Maybe the Borg didn't have the greatest idea here. Who knows? They're kind of convenient to when they want to attack somebody. Oh, the plot says that they're not going to attack right now. Oh, but they simulated Earth. Even though I'm assuming it's peaceful. Yeah, I actually enjoyed this movie. I agree with other people here that this is one of the better Star Trek films. It's definitely the best of the TNGs. And I think it has a pretty good balance. And it actually looks the part. I give Star Trek First Contact 3 out of 4 stars.